So much for that happening. Thought it wouldn't be that bad, but I thought wrong, so my fault for that. Regardless, good to see you guys. It's been a hot minute, I would say, but yeah, we are back and we are here. Hopefully, stream's actually not lagging too terribly bad now. Oh boy, I think we are dropping frames, but it should smooth out a little bit. It just takes a minute. My Wi-Fi is also not the best, but hi. Been a while, but yeah. So I guess we might as well try to explain what's going on. So basically, if you missed on update stuff, and hopefully I'm not talking too quietly, I can lower the volume. But if you missed on update stuff, I'm not going to be doing highlight videos for the summer. With one major exception, well, not major, but one exception, because it was a favor and someone asked me to do it. So, if you'll see me, my favorite shout out, hi Lumi. Stream was laggy at first, but hi, welcome. But yeah, so there's gonna be one video, not on my channel, but it is gonna be a highlight video coming up sometime soon. You'll see it when you see it. But yeah, I'm just taking a quick break for the summer because if things are going well, I'll have a job soon, so I'll be able to actually work and have income. So that'll be nice. But other than that, everything else is fine and good. I'm not stressed out or anything. There's nothing like other big reason why. I just wanted to take a break, and yeah, I'm doing good. But let's get into what I guess the meat of stream is gonna be, hopefully, because if you're wondering what the lag stuff was, I was gonna try to see if I could run VTube Studio, and that didn't happen. That did not happen, unfortunately. Just a bit too rough for my stuff. If I had an actual computer instead of a laptop, things would be better, but yeah. Regardless, let me go over to my video capture. Okay. So I need to make sure I'm actually on the video that I want to watch, because
there's a lot of backstabbing, an insane amount of back.
Well, I might have spoiled it just a tiny bit. If you recognize that audio, that is. I'm just gonna adjust the setting stuff real quick. Full screen, hopefully it doesn't autoplay. Nope, okay, whatever. Oh, whatever. Well, just this, and I'll go and open my volume mixer. There we go. So now, for React stuff, oh boy. Capitalize on the show to people will fun things. In time. But yeah, so there's a video that I put in my watch later a while back that I wanted to watch, but I figured it'd be a good video to watch on stream. So this is a video, the problem with the VTubing community. This is from Rima's highlight channel. It's not like a proper like edited video of hers. It's just a highlight from one of her streams. No, I'm not trying to adjust that. I'm trying to adjust me OBS. There we go. Fit better in frame. Yeah. I wanted to watch this because for those unaware, I do like Rima. Like I just did, like before I went on break, my last video for my channel was a highlight of Rima and Yana playing Keep Talking and No One Explodes. And I saw this and I was like, okay, I want to see what Rima has to say on this, because I'm curious. Because I don't necessarily always agree with her, but I still like and consider what she has to say, because she is pretty knowledgeable on all of this stuff. And I figured it would be a good thing to talk about on stream. And considering the stuff that happened a couple days after this video got uploaded, I feel like a lot of the problems in the VTuber community, or VTubing community in general, have gotten a little bit worse. So let's see what our horse friend has to say about VTuber stuff. So here we go.
There's a lot of backstabbing, an insane amount of backstabbing from multiple people that you need to have enough flair to recognize when you need to adapt, when you need to change your content, even if it's a little bit, and when you can ride like other hype waves. I saw an interesting thread on the VTubing community that kind of summarized almost everything that we spoke about today. So this is why VTubing sucks sometimes. So Mama Remedy made a thread today, and I thought she worded things pretty good about the things that no one mentioned when I started VTubing. Negativity is a standard. Many people normalize this and villainize positivity. They'll often actively seek to create conflict and genuinely disdain innocent people who don't project cynicism.
Okay, so if I have to give my 2 cents on this, yes and no. I've gotten negativity on some of my videos, mostly like 1 or 2, and it's like the only real thing that I can think stands out for my videos at least were 2 comments where someone said like I wasn't there for the actual video or like stream, or that like clippers who add themselves into videos or clips or whatever that they do are like localizers, which I'm pretty sure that last one was bait, but still. And to be honest, I agree and disagree. Like, if you go seeking drama stuff and that's what you want to build your stuff on, or like that's how you get your stuff built on as a VTuber, then yes, people will keep that and will remember that forever, basically, and it's never going to go away. But if you don't really get into drama, or if you don't really engage with it, or don't really talk about it that much, and you just do your own thing, just try to have fun, and you're not, actively plagiarizing someone's model or doing anything that would put a target on your back, like, you're still probably going to get, like, 1 or 2 haters, maybe, but I'm probably gonna be okay. Like, I don't know. That's kind of like, I can't necessarily say because I'm just a clipper. I don't have a model properly yet. And I don't actually stream on a constant enough basis. But I would say that overall it is standard to some degree, negativity, but it's more prominent if you actively seek or engage with it. And if you try your best not to, you will typically find a way to avoid it, I would say. Yeah. So not a bad take, but one that I don't wholeheartedly agree with. So let's get back into the video real quick and keep going.
Okay, this first part, I'm not sure I totally agree with it. I don't think...
Well, thank you, Rima. But yeah, I'll let the horse say her thoughts on it. I know she's a fox. It's just, the horse bit's funny.
Most people villainize positivity. I think a lot of people preach positivity, but then don't act in a way or that is positive. Cliques are staple in every community.
And yeah, I actually do agree with that. Like, people will say and do stuff and be like, oh, like, act positive and whatever, and then they won't actually own up to that and will actually do stuff counter to that. And with the current stuff that's going on, a lot of VTubers have actually outed themselves as doing that, because there's some people who will like do like videos stuff or like watch videos or whatever, like meme compilations and stuff, and they'll skip over edgy, I did finger quotes just then, but so you can't see, edgy jokes or memes or whatever. And like with some cases, sure, like if they're just saying the N-word or something, yeah, I get it. But if it's just like, if someone's just doing like some sort of joke or whatever, or like they're just saying the word like retard or something like that, like seriously, like there's worse things to get up in arms about. Like, that's just my opinion on it. But like, the fact that there are people who will do stuff like that and then, go on Twitter and be upset that someone didn't get, Minecrafted by someone else IRL. I'm trying very hard to avoid actually saying certain words because don't want to get flagged by YouTube. I'm small. But yeah, the fact that they'll go on Twitter and be upset that certain tragedies didn't happen or actively advocate for violence just because of politics, while acting like they're so positive on stream. It's just like, hypocrisy is a hell of a drug, kids. And if you can avoid it, I would suggest doing so.
Agreed. But unlike in many cases where they generally just exclude others, many here actively coordinate attacks, sometimes against someone that only one even dislikes. Bullying will happen loudly, but it most frequently happens quietly. And you may never confirm it, even as a victim, unless one or more people are ejected from the circle and consequently expose the bullying.
I'm gonna actually let her say what she wants first, because I have opinions on this, but I want to hear what Rima has to say.
What happened with the Kenji thing? People are extremely comfortable taking their personal issues, insecurities, and
Hang on, I'm gonna rewind that real quick.
people are ejected from the circle and consequently expose the bullying. Kind of what happened with the Kenji thing.
Not the example I would use, Rima. Like, for various reasons, but cliques are staple in every community. But unlike in many cases where they generally just exclude others, many here actively coordinate attacks, sometimes against someone only one even dislikes. Bullying will happen loudly, but most frequently happens quietly, and you've never confirm it, even as a victim, unless one or more people are ejected from the circle, and consequently expose the bullying. Yeah, I'll just say this right out the gate, Niji Sanji. That's the example that I thought of when I think of that. Like, Niji Sanji and, like, the people who bully people or, like, go after and try to dox people because they like lolly or Shota stuff. And it's like, that's more, I think, clique behavior stuff than what necessarily happened to Kenji. And granted, while I don't necessarily endorse doxing, I'm just going to say, not even necessarily, I don't endorse doxing, period. That's just a horrible fucking thing to do. But of all people, I have very little sympathy for Kenji because of what he tried to do to Sayu. And it's like, yeah, I get it, you don't really like her, but no, that's not okay. And the fact that she didn't sue you into the ground is... I have more respect for her over that than I do for you trying to cancel her. So, like, I don't know. Don't like that you got doxxed, Kenji, but at the same time, I'm not exactly a fan. But, yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, but, like, the whole bullying stuff, because, like, it may happen quietly, or it may happen loudly. I think reporting on it and commenting on it and just letting people form their own opinions is the best course of action as a whole. Because that's sort of the only thing you should do if you're someone who reports and comments on this sort of stuff. Like, yeah, you can have your own opinions, but it's best to just let other people come to their own conclusions, I think, and just report the facts. But yeah, let's keep going, because we are only a minute and a half into this video. Good God. And this is a 10-minute long video. Okay.
People are extremely comfortable taking their personal issues, insecurities, and opinions out in the form of disparaging others. This can quite often be seen in the form of...
Holy shit, okay, I should have vetted this video maybe a bit more, but... Alright. Well, I'm just gonna rewind a bit and let her keep talking. I'm sorry, Rima. Yeah, this is a lot. I did not think it was going to be this much, but okay.
Opinions out in the form of disparaging others. This can quite often be seen in the form of X type of people get attention they don't deserve and get nothing. Many VTubers treat VTubing as a hobby, which is great. It's also a potential form of alternative or supplemental income for people who cannot work as a traditional job for personal reasons, or like many don't make enough from their main job. Unfortunately, some of the former will treat many of the latter and vice versa with hostility when their objective and interests don't align. This is one of a few creator communities I know that will actively disparage and mischaracterize you for trying to separate your persona from your personal life, or having professional priorities over social ones, despite also wanting an income and suffering unduly from social obstacles of their own making.
Okay. There's some I will agree with this to some extent. Like, if you're a member of, like, a corpo, like, specifically, like, Hololive, I would say, specifically. If you're a member of, like, Hololive or a corpo on that level, like, I think it is good to not hard talk about your personal life. Like, maybe talking about it on stream, like, a little bit is fine. Just don't go too much into detail. If you're an indie, it's a bit harder to do, I would say. Because, like, if you aren't, like, part of a business where VTubing is your literal job, then that is a bit more difficult to keep the two, conjoined, I would say, or, like, connected. Like, it's the whole kayfabe argument stuff. Like, do you keep up the illusion on stream, or do you, like, be a bit more open? I think there's ways to do it where you do a mix of both, but I also feel like people do appreciate honesty a bit more. I don't know. This one is like a very VTuber specific one, because it's like, with me, there's very little to no separation. Like, I am just me doing my thing, and I just have like my little character who I speak through basically, but he's just meant to be representative of me. So there's not any kayfabe at all. Well, for other people, that is the entire appeal of them. So, I don't know. This is something I don't feel like I can properly comment on or give my whole opinion on, because it doesn't necessarily affect me. But, I don't know.
In spite of the often cited diversity in the community, people will frequently generalize others within it and attribute their actions or behaviors to stereotypes constructed solely for this community by this community, while considering themselves and select others exceptions.
I want to see what Rima has to say about this, but I do want to reread this and double check. In spite of the often cited diversity of this community, people will frequently generalize others within it and attribute their actions or behaviors to stereotype constructed solely for this community, by this community, while considering self and others exceptions. So, like, typical, like, rules for thee, not for me, like, generalization stuff. Alright, I'll see what Reem has to say about this first before I give comment, because I want to see what example she necessarily cites on this, if any.
That is so true. Only in the VTuber community there are terms that they've invented only to insult others, like dramatubers. I don't hear the word dramatuber in any other community except here. It's only used to insult other people with content, those who they deem the content is not good enough. I mean, same with all kind of words. Beggars and all of that. Tourist.
Okay, hang on. Tourist is not exclusively a VTuber term, Rima. I would say tourist can be used for anyone. So, hello, Jared, what are you up to? Hi, Hero. I am just doing a sort of return-ish stream. Just talking about I talked about some stuff earlier about why I went on break from highlight stuff. Hopefully my mic's actually picking this up. But, I was just doing a bit of a react stream. We're watching Rima talk about problem with the VTubing community from her highlight channel. I'll link it in the description after the stream's done, just like be certain. But yeah, we're just chatting, talking about stuff, and going over some things. Tourist is used for all fandoms. Yes, I will agree with that. Like, that's my opinion on it too. Like, tourist is not a VTuber community term, especially 40k. Oh yeah, 40k. I would say it's for 40k and anime are like the big ones. Like, sometimes with video games too, but not as much. Like, the big one that I think is, I would say that the big one is Berserk, like, or like other stuff like Blue Archive, Berserk. Those are the two big ones I think of when I think of anime tourist. Because it's like, there's people who think that the story is just wrong or bad and they want to change it. Like, 40k is another one too. But, like, I don't really do any I'm not into 40k really that much. Like, some of it looks cool, I just never got into it. But with, like, a lot of anime stuff, like, stuff that's very much, yeah, D&D as well, yep. There are people who will go into the community, see some stuff, and then immediately advocate for change and like say that XYZ is wrong, and that if the community doesn't change these things, their insert triggered term like some sort of istphobe or whatever. And I talked about this in a server. I'm pretty sure it was with Under the T server. A lot of the people who want to enforce these changes were not here at its inception. Like this, and granted, like to bring it back to VTubers, like Greenwood was talking about, a lot of the people who are VTubers, like EN VTubers, will want the Japanese side of stuff to be different and cater to their stuff, when at the same time, they did not earn any of this stuff. They did not earn this community. They jumped on the bandwagon in 2023, 2022. Like, some of them are older. Like, some did get into it in 2019 and learned all about it and stuff. But, like, people like Kizuna AI, the very, very start of Hololive and Covercorp with, like, Sora. Heck, I would even attribute more positive, like, influence on the start of VTubing to Niji Sanji than I would any EN VTuber, to be completely honest. Because they're the ones who really popularized the whole live 2D aspect of VTubing and made it pop off as much as it did. So, like, Tourist is not generally or exclusively for VTubers as a whole. It is something that can be applied to anything. And even drama tubers, too. Like, if you want to be specific, drama tubers were, well, not necessarily called that back in the day. They've existed for a long time. Like, people like Ray William Johnson, like, God, that's an old one. Or, like, even, like, Critical or, like, Mudahar. Like, even, like, back, people like that, I would say, are technically drama tubers, just because they're YouTubers who talk about drama stuff. And, like, that's not necessarily... I just stumbled over my words, I'm so sorry. That's not necessarily a horrible, like, black label, but it's just, like, it is a label. And while people can use that to antagonize you, I feel like if you just kind of own up to it in some degree, it's not as bad. Like, people can't use it as an insult if you own up to it. Like, that's what I'm trying to say, basically. But yeah, I'll rewind a bit just so we can hear what she had to say. But yeah.
All kind of words. Beggars and all of that. Tourist. Tourist is a good one. Very true. I thought drama tubers were react channels. No, they're called react channels.
We're React Dandies. Thank you, Miss Evanstein. Jokes aside, but yeah.
Or commentary channels. These people posting these stream or create content just tweet. A lot of them just tweet. Some of them do create content.
V-tweeter. That is... yeah, I'm surprised she didn't say V-tweeter. That's like the VTuber slur, if anything. Like, people hate getting called V-tweeters. Like, they will get so up in arms if you call them a V-tweeter. But, like, I'm surprised she didn't really mention that, but...
People are I like this part. People are much more outspoken in hostilities than supportively in conflicts. I mean, yes, it's easier to bandwagon than to defend somebody that is receiving backlash or that's in a conflict. Once people are in the conflict, it's kind of like to each their own. If you cite a legitimate issue, you can almost bet people will appear to attack one or another, even on your behalf, without your consent, distorting the point beyond recognition. And that's something, this part, I see it more in very large VTubers.
Yeah, I will agree with that. For, like, large VTuber controversy stuff, people will jump on the bandwagon and immediately go after people for even the smallest infractions if they are a bigger YouTuber. If they're smaller, they will typically avoid some of this stuff with exception. Like, the immediate one that I think of with, like, immediately jumping onto, like, bandwagon about stuff and distorting is the whole, like, Philly stuff. That's a very, like, recent-ish issue that I think people will jump on, or that I think people jumped on without really understanding all of it. Because, like, I don't think Fillion intentionally or maliciously tried to steal her model, like some people do, I guess. But I just think, like, her biggest crime was just kind of being an idiot. And like, to her credit, like that's not like the worst thing that you can do. Like be stupid and just not really understand anything. And the fact that I got handled privately too, like I think that's how most stuff should be handled. Instead of just putting it on Twitter and just letting people do whatever and just jump on it. Like if you have something that's like a bigger like issue, I feel like resolving it in private from the start is the better option than just letting everyone come out to see it. I don't know. Like it's weird because like I've never gotten personally in a huge thing, but oh, she did say that she ripped them off of VR chat, so she didn't pay for it from the get. Okay, that is a bit shittier, but that's a bit more indefensible. But yeah, okay, that's a bit shittier, but I don't know. I still feel like her biggest crime is just not ever going back and doing it properly once she got bigger, but I don't know. Like, I don't necessarily look. That's making me think about some stuff. That's it's making my brain have to think about it. Because I don't necessarily dislike Fillion for anything really. But that is kind of not great look. But I don't know. Like, it's hard to like come to a conclusion on something like this because it's like, yeah, not paying necessarily for your model. That is bad. That is very bad. Like, if you're gonna use a model, like even if you started out very early, like I still think that if you do use a model and use it commercially, like you do have to eventually pay for it or get something original, which like a lot of people cited it. That's what Vettel did for Neuro. Like she initially used like a default VTube Studio model, and then once she started getting bigger and more popular, Vettel actually got Annie to make her a model that was properly their own. So I don't know. It's just that whole situation is also kind of a shit show, to be honest. Like I don't know, but it's my fault for bringing it up, I guess, because that's what I wanted to say. But yeah, thank you for letting me know. I just find her mildly annoying. Yeah, like that's like to each their own. Like I don't dislike her. Like her content's very not for me. Like it's very ADHD, and I appreciate her doing collab stuff more. But her on her own, like I can understand why people don't necessarily like her. But yeah. I had the same sentiment about Chibidoki. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah. I have. We're not gonna. Okay, this is gonna start turning into what VTubers does Jared not really like that much, and I don't really want the stream to be that, but and it's whatever. So let's just get back to the video real quick. But yeah, no, thanks for the info, Lumi. I appreciate it.
Like the whole life girls, this happens a lot where let's say Crony complains that she's feeling ignored, but then this blows out of proportion. You know, she gets clipped out of context, and then people start speculating that maybe her manager is not taking care of her enough. Like I'm just saying random stuff, but like maybe it's her main manager, and then people get mad on her behalf at the manager, or maybe it's because of those type of fans and they're doing this to her, so they're making her uncomfortable during this stream, and it devolves into a fight or a war that she never asked for. She was just venting, so it makes it so these creators have to be extremely careful about what they say. Rarely will those people speak up for you or support you, however if you and your character come under attack by a large enough individual or group. Plus terrible people almost always come back after malicious behavior is brought to light. Redeemable people more commonly succumb to the social pressure of criticism and scrutiny and collapse.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that a bit, because like there are people who have done stuff that is arguably pretty bad and there's like actual proof of it, and like despite everything, despite doing what they do, they still have a platform. Which like obviously with some of the most recent stuff, this has gotten a bit more, yeah, but like even before that, like if I have to give an example, like during like the whole Hogwarts Legacy stuff, they're like actual big name people who are calling on like other VTubers like Pikami, Peppa, whoever, who are just playing the game, like Silver Rail too, like people who were just playing that game to lose their channel or that they were transphobic or something like that, and like actively wanted them to get like doxxed or have their channel removed or whatever. And like they still have a platform all these years later, or all this like 2 years later ish. And even then, some of these people who were perfectly okay with harassing others or making a statement and choosing the hill to die on with Hogwarts Legacy of all things are now in the same corpo as people who they would otherwise have gone after or gone after. And if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. But I don't know. Like, it's just weird because like people who are just shitty will get away with it if they're big enough, and like I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating. But like, what can you do? Like at most, like all you can do is really just remind other people and let them know about what they've done in the past, and let them form their own opinions and go from there. I think that's honestly the best way. I think you can deal with stuff like that. The stream's getting a bit heavier than I expected it to. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, let's just keep going, I guess.
Under the weight of it. This is one of few communities where toxic people, even proven PDF files or bullies, are often less widely villainized than those previously labeled wholesome, which really protects people who exhibit toxic or abusive behaviors openly by normalizing them by comparison. Not sure I totally agree with this part. The bully part, maybe not. Okay, maybe she's right about that one, but the PDF file, I feel like we hate them a lot. No? I feel like we do. I mean, we've just read like 20 pages about one dude. For progressive community, there is a surprising amount of extremely condensed bigotry in the form of racism, misogyny, misandry, transphobia, homophobia, ableism, and more. A disproportionate amount with a lot of microaggressions that people often ignore or excuse.
Okay. So going from one extremely like heavy conversation topic to one that I have I have some opinions on, just to say the least. So for a progressive community, there's an extreme amount of condensed bigotry. If you're talking about the people who would say that there is, like, if you're saying like exclusively that the people who will cry about and say that VTubers are racist and homophobic and transphobic or whatever, only to exhibit those exact same behaviors, sure, I will give you that. I don't necessarily wholeheartedly agree that that is the case. Like, obviously, you have some examples or some exceptions. Like, because I'm thinking of a certain Niji talent who's no longer a Niji talent, who did get fired for certain comments, probably, but who's to say for certain? The only one that I think that I will wholeheartedly agree on is misandry. I do think that male VTubers and males in general in the VTubing sphere get a lot of hate. A lot of it that is unwarranted, to be completely honest. And for whatever reason, people are just okay with it. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily just something that I've noticed or that other people have noticed, but I do think that is a very big one. Like, people will just openly be okay with hating on men or saying that men are shit, despite the fact that they're VTubers and their audience almost completely consists of men, unless you're just like hardcore Fujo bait, basically. But like, that's kind of my opinion on it. Like, some of the other stuff is I'll always advocate for the guys. Hell yeah, same here, Lumi. Like, I always root for male VTubers. Like, unless they just do stuff that's just completely dumb, or just actually say something that's just inherently wrong or bad, I do think it's good to advocate for your male VTuber friends because, like, they're probably gonna get shit on just for being guys, which sucks. But that's the VTuber community for you, I guess. But I don't know.
I feel like this is in every community though. I've been in a few communities before that, and it's all bad. But I say the VTubing community has a lot more drama and cliques than others. There's a lot of backstabbing, an insane amount of backstabbing from multiple people. It's very animalistic. You think you have a regular conversation with another VTuber, casual conversation, but they're like furiously trying to gather ammo, or they're like saving everything that you say just in case they can use it later. I've heard that from countless sources.
And yeah, that is actually something that I think people probably do. Like, I'm very certain there are people who will collab with other bigger streamers, keep everything that they say on tabs, and then just immediately throw it out into, like, social media the second they get the opportunity to. Because why not? And, like, sometimes sometimes that works and it adds fuel to the fire and it's just something that's not good. Other times it can actually turn things around because, like, people will say, oh, this person is saying XYZ or doing this, look how terrible they are. And what they're saying will just be, like, completely innocuous or, like, something that's just, like, mildly bad. Like, they made, like, a joke or something like that, or something that was, or said something slightly edgy, and that's the issue. Or they said that they like Lolly or Shota or whatever, and that's what they're gonna use as some sort of, like, attack on their character. And it's like, really, that's the worst you have to say about them? Like, that's the biggest evidence that you have on them. Like, okay, sure. Like, thanks for making people question if this is anything at all, really. I don't know. Like, like, she's not wrong here, Rima. That is, like, I do feel like people just sometimes, like, it works how people assume it is, and other times not as much. But who can say for sure?
Perfect strangers who never interacted with you will very boldly dictate you their demands. Okay, that happens to me all the time. All the time, people try to tell me what to do.
Yep, that, again, like I said at the start of this video, like, the most backlash that I got for doing my VTuber clips was that I wasn't there in the video, and that clippers who insert themselves into videos are, like, localizers, which, first of all, no, but secondly, like, if you want to watch the stream without me in it, or, like, watch what's going on here and not have my whole thing, just watch the VOD. Like, yeah, I know I wasn't there. I'm not doing myself, or, like, adding myself in here because I was there. I'm the one editing the video and reacting to what's happening on stream. And, like, I'm also a fan and a viewer of most of the people who I do edits and highlights for. So, like, yes, I'm going to react and comment on stuff like this. I love clippers who insert themselves. Thank you, Lumi. I appreciate that. Because, like, why wouldn't you? Like, if you're a clipper, most often is the case that you're a fan of the people who you watch. You're a fan of the people who you're making the video for. So, if you can insert yourself and just comment on, or even, like, just mildly tease or joke about whatever in the video or VOD or whatever, just do it. Like, even if you have to add, like, even if the minimum that you do is just adding, like, small, like, caption stuff, like, what the or, like, reacting to just what's going on while editing. Like, that's funny. People will like doing that. Like, one of the funniest bits ever from a video that inspired me to do similar stuff was when Synchrono, or, like, Low Effort Clips, was doing, like, a face kind of thing, and then, like, it panned out to him at his desk, like, reacting with, like, a what the fuck expression, seeing what was happening. Like, that was one of the funniest bits ever, and it made me want to do similar stuff. Which, granted, sometimes I did, like, the closest thing that I ever did to that was, like, I was pretty sure it was the Nano, Kirsha, Moon, and Bag playing SCP-5K, where I did the exact same sort of joke. But like the other one that I did, that I think was wholly original, was I sang Stacy's mom for like 10 seconds during the Rin Mama compilation, and then at the very end, like my more recent Nano like comp for when she made my Squibby, I sang "Come Scissor Todd," and it was a scoffed as hell cover, but it was funny, which is why I did it in the first place. But yeah, like it is dumb. Like I appreciate actual genuine feedback on videos that I do, and like I always like heart comments of people who comment on my videos because it's like, you know, I appreciate just the little engagement that I get. But for actual like mild like for like stupid stuff like that, like, oh, you weren't there, like that one especially is funny because a lot of the times I actually was there. Like I'm in chat for some of those streams, and I'll make fun of myself. Like one of the best jokes of that comes from like a Tenma highlight that I did where she was playing Honey Pop, and I was going to make, while I was editing, I like made a joke or whatever about something, and then while I was editing after posting it to Twitter, I realized, oh shit, I made the same joke during stream. So I used that, and I made the bit that someone was stealing my jokes, only for me to realize that it was me stealing my own joke. Which is just like, because like that happens. Like I am there for some of those things, like not necessarily engaging with the person in the video, like live, but I'm in chat and I'll comment on some stuff like while it's going on during the stream, and then I'll see myself while editing. Like that was also the case for like the Phase Euphoria debuts, where Muyu was talking, and then I see myself in chat, and then I point myself out and say, "There I am, Gary. There I am." Like I don't know, like you can do Clipper stuff and have yourself in and make it work. I think, and if you're gonna do it, you have to go all the way. I think, or at least go like either do it like occasionally with like one-offs during the video, or have that be your whole thing. Like, I don't know, that's just my 2 cents on it.
What they think you believe, and how you need to behave without knowing a single thing about you, your identity, your beliefs, or your personal life based on you or your avatar. Yeah, true. There's tons of well-meaning people in the community. They tend to be quiet and don't get involved in most issues, which is probably how they maintain their integrity, but they're hard to seek out. Okay.
Yeah, hang on, I'm gonna just rewind that just a sec so I can see that on. Well, it doesn't show up on screen very well, but yeah, a lot of well-meaning people in the community who tend to be quiet and just don't get involved in most issues, which is how they maintain their integrity. To be honest, I'm gonna say this right here and now. I think a lot of people would benefit from shutting up and not giving their 2 cents on some stuff. Granted, like I do think if you're gonna be advocating for something, you have to, and like, or if people are like doing something that you think is wrong, just like morally, like as long as it's not something stupid that has to do with like fictional shit like lollies or Shota or whatever. Like if someone, like for example, if VTubers are voicing their disdain at the fact that a former U.S. president didn't get JFK'd, for lack of a better term, I think it is important to call people out and say, hey, like you can make a general statement and just say like, hey, I don't think it's necessarily a good PR move if you're a VTuber of all things to talk about stuff like this, because you're going to turn people away from your community. And like, regardless of what your opinion's on, like if you don't talk about politics, period, if you don't make dark jokes or whatever, and you actively like avoid that sort of stuff for your channel, for your content, don't engage with it and don't even make comment on anything like that. Because if you say something that goes against what you've made yourself and built your whole persona and identity on, people are going to use that and call you a hypocrite. Like, that's the biggest issue that I think a lot of people have. Like, aside from just advocating for someone to DIE, like, the biggest issue is that of hypocrisy. Like, I don't, Like, you can necessarily say, like, whatever. You can have your opinion on something, but I don't necessarily think you should say this or that when your entire identity is counter to that. I don't know. And I do think that it is easier to maintain your integrity and to just keep in line with your beliefs if you don't say anything, which, that's what they're saying right here. So I agree with that, but I do think it is also important when people are just being completely egregious and abhorrent to call them out in like a general sense. I would say is the best way to go around it.
Get involved in most issues, which is probably how they maintain their integrity, but they're hard to seek out. Okay, I'm not gonna read the rest, but there's a lot of creators aren't really involved in any controversies and that do very well. It's just we're not thinking about them right now because controversies and negativity is always what stays at the forefront of somebody's mind. I think it's because of how rapidly the VTuber community expanded from small circles in Japan into worldwide fandom in like only 6 or 7 years.
It's even shorter than that because VTubing exploded in like 2019, and like it really got started ish with Kizuna AI basically, and like since then, like it kind of grew up a bit in 2020, like at the start of pandemic, but before that, it didn't really go anywhere too much. It wasn't really until 2021, I want to say, where it really, really picked up steam. And, like, if we're going by that, that's only 3 years. Like, because it's 2024 now. If we're going from 2019 to 2024, that's 5 years, which, like, it is crazy how much that expanded. Because, like, I've talked about this a little bit, but, like, Cover Corp, like, Any Color, those are huge companies. Like, they are very huge in terms of, like, actual monetary like size, like millions, if not at least $1 billion as a whole. But like that's like now, like even now, like it's getting more popular and more normalized. Like Gura just saying, "Take me out to the ball game for the Dodgers." So like it's not even like a super big niche anymore. Like maybe if you're not a Dodgers fan, you didn't see it at all, or if you don't go on social media or don't watch sports in general, you didn't see it. But it is slowly becoming a bit more normalized, which on one hand, yes, I do think gatekeeping is very important. But at the same time, when I saw that, that was just so cool and it was kind of just neat. I do think it's important to gatekeep stuff, but at the same time, when you get stuff that's like that, where it's just kind of neat and like, yeah, obviously some normies are pissed off or whatever, but when the general public or like more often like other people just see it and they think it's cool, like, it's just a little validating, I guess, is the word that comes to mind, but I don't know.
Could only also be because half of the community is fucking teenager. You can
Hang on, like, Rima, I want to hear what that she had to say about that.
circles in Japan into worldwide fandom in like only 6 or 7 years. Could only also be because half of the community is fucking teenager. You can grow a great deal and make a great deal of progress.
Rima, okay, on one hand, yes, I agree. There are a lot of teen fans of VTubers. There are a lot of VTuber fans who are not adults yet. I don't necessarily think that's the majority. Like, to give an example, if I have to go off, like, my own analytics are tiny as shit, but, like, I do have analytics. I have almost an exclusively male fan base of people who are 17, who are, like, 18 to, like, 30-ish or so years old. And I have, like, little to no audience who are under 18. Probably for good reason, but I'm glad for that being the case. But I do think there are more people who are under 18 than not, but I don't think that they are the whole majority. I think maybe they were at the start. Maybe they were like 17 or whatever during like 2019, 2021 even. But now they're adults and they're not doing whatever, and they're not really under 18 and stuff, but they still act childish and stupid. Yeah, my throat's running ragged. I'm gonna mute real quick. Yeah. Like, I do think there are 18 or under 18 people in VTuber stuff, and they're really loud and annoying. But I think for the most part, if you kind of just ignore and don't fucking talk to them or engage with them, you'll be fine. Cause like, it's not that I actively hate like kids, basically. Like I don't hate kids and communities or whatever. But for something like VTubing, which is either like a pretty like niche nerdy thing, basically, like with all other streamer stuff, you can't really monitor who watches your videos or whatever. And like I'm not gonna censor myself. I just stuttered basically. I'm not gonna censor myself or change how I am on stream or whatever, or how I do jokes and videos, because like maybe there's a 17-year-old watching or like a 13-year-old watching. Like I'm not gonna cut out like until I get monetized basically, which that's probably never gonna happen. I'm not gonna cut out or censor swears, period. Because like at the end of the day, like I'm not making this video for little Timmy and Billy who are on YouTube because their parents don't want to parent and they somehow find a VTuber clip. I don't know, that's kind of just my 2 cents on it. Like, kids are stupid, that they're not that stupid, and you can't really just cater to them as a whole, but I don't know.
Progress and the end up stagnation over changes in the algorithm or a necessary break and potentially never recover the same level of growth. This is very manageable but disheartening. Yeah, well, it's a marathon, not a race. As for the changes in the algorithm thing, that's go. Yes, you can complain about being shadow banned and how the algorithm has changed, but you need to adapt your content to the algorithm. And good creators are the ones that are able to ride multiple waves of hype, that you need to have enough flair to recognize when you need to adapt, when you need to change your content, even if it's a little bit, and when you can ride like other hype waves. The world.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with that, because as someone who started out with very beginner-ish editing and didn't really know what they were doing at first, it did help my channel grow to edit better and like have more actual content and better editing skills, like making more like in-depth videos with like more bits or whatever. Because like like I don't know, that's confusing, because like my most popular video that's an actual VTuber clip is Lumi and Pippa watching the dog movie basically. And the reason I think that one did so well is because it's an older stream, so people might have nostalgia for it. And also, there weren't really that many videos or highlights for it at all. Like, I looked at it when I was making that video back then. I could not find, like, any actual proper, like, clips, snippets, highlights from it. And I don't really know why, because it's a popular stream on Pippa's channel, basically. And I want to do a highlight for it because it was one of, like, streams I would always listen to when I was going to and from college, so I figured it would be a good one to highlight for, even if I didn't show all of it. But like, I was surprising seeing just how well that video did, and it's still doing good. Like, it's at like 14K views. Like, my best video period is Ken singing Pippa the Ripper. Pippa the Ripper, which thank you, Mr. Ken Ashcorp, for that. But like, aside from that, it's Pippa and Lumi, and other than, like, I've had other popular videos too. Like, obviously, the ones with Pippa do the best, like, but it's not always the case with that either too, because, like, sometimes Pippa does really well, other times not as much. Like, the example that I think immediately comes to mind was when Pippa and Yuko, like the Pippa Yuko collab highlight one, that video didn't do great. I still like it because, you know, I liked making it, and it was a good, like, send-off for Yuko before she graduated. But it didn't necessarily do as well as the other ones. Meanwhile, the Sheena video that I did, like, basically after a short-ish mini hiatus, that was longer, like almost 28 minutes long, that was just Sheena playing the Hololive visual novel. that one did really well. Like it got like 2K views, like 2.2K I think, which like for a channel my size, that's better than nothing, and that's really good, I would say. Like it didn't do like crazy like 30K or anything like that, but it still did enough where I'm like proud of that video. I think that it did good. But like yeah, things just happen. Like videos will do good or do bad, and it's not necessarily anything you can control. Like just make the best video, make the best stream that you can, and things will just work out or they don't.
Changes algorithm aside, that is true. Okay, that's a good point actually. The world does change, and sometimes the novelty of you as a creator might fade away and somebody else might come to take your spot, but that's also why you gotta make the most of it while you're there. And at the same time, again, it's also like the creators that renew themselves the most that get to stay relevant. That's why it's important to also collab with not just large creators but small up and coming creators, because they're kind of the new wave that keeps bringing a new wave of refreshment, and you get to stay relevant by associating yourself with them.
Well, here's the problem with that remake. Okay, this might be a hot take, but as someone who is smaller and doesn't really have much of any sort of fan base, like whenever I have to like unless I'm just like doing a very basic reply, like if I wanted to ask someone like something or whatever, a question, like that is some of the most intimidating shit, to be completely honest, because I've only ever sent DMs to twice, and like I've only sent like Twitter DMs to VTubers twice, and it wasn't even for like collab stuff. Like I was asking about like clips or like about stuff for like reminders or whatever, and like just not even like reminders, like refreshers about whatever, or like talking if I could ask about something, and I never got anything back. And it wasn't like these were just people who are like huge, bigger than myself, but that I've never talked to or engaged with. Like there were people who I make videos for and stuff, and I don't take it personally. Like I figure, okay, they're probably just busy, they don't have time to get back to me or whatever, or they just didn't see it, and it's whatever. But like, I have, as much as I want to collab with people and come on streams and do stuff, like I don't have really like the means or like time to do it because my own like time stuff. Like the afternoon time slot is the only time I can really stream, and I can't really do it very much, and kind of doesn't really overlap with a lot of people who stream. And B, I don't feel like I have the right to ask people for stuff because I'm literally no one. Like I am a clipper who does videos, and I like doing that, and I enjoy doing what I do, but I don't feel like I have like any sort of leverage or right to really ask people if like it comes stream. We'll collab one day. Thank you, Lumi. I appreciate that. If I ever get a model, then sure. But as it stands right now, it's just a PNG. I don't think it's probably gonna happen anytime soon. But yeah, that's just kind of my opinion on it. Like I can completely understand if people disagree with that. But like as someone who is smaller, it is very intimidating to ask people who are bigger than you for like favors at all. But I don't know, that's just me.
People can be super hostile about you having personal preferences and discomforts. Is one of the few places where you can be mobbed just for stating a perfectly understandable boundary. I think that's Twitter. I think somebody tweeted, and I thought that was funny. Twitter be the only place where you're like, I hate PDF files, and people attack you for it.
Yeah, Rima, that's not wrong. That is very not wrong. Like you can say something that like, even with a PNG, who knows? Who knows? Maybe. I don't know. It would probably be easier if I had like a better way to like set stream stuff up, but who knows? We can do React Slap. Sure. But yeah, back to what Riemann was saying, stuff like, yeah, I do feel like Twitter is one of the few places where you can say something completely normal or whatever, Not even like as extreme as what she said. Like you could say something that like, "Hey, I don't really like doing streams for whatever," or like, "I don't really like streamers who pause while doing React content just to be topical." Like I don't really like streamers who pause during React content. I'd rather they just talk during the video and people will just swarm you or whatever. Which, granted, it's typically the inverse, where people will say something like, "I feel bad about," or like people will be like, "I like doing React content stuff, but I feel bad for like pausing the video or stuff." And it's like, well, why do you pause in the first place? Why can't you just talk or whatever? Or we're not necessarily, I don't know, like it's weird. That's a weird example. I should have probably picked something better, but I wanted to be topical. That's my bad. But like people will just dogpile on you for no reason, or just because you disagree with them on opinion. Like I think what I'm trying to, the expression I'm trying to think of is like they will take something that you have as an opinion as an attack on their character. That's what I was trying to say, basically. Like, because you can say something that, like, "Oh, I don't really like so and so game," or whatever. Like, you could say, like, "I don't really like Call of Duty," or "I don't really like Halo," or Factorio, or whatever. And people will say, "Oh, so you hate Factorio players? You hate Call of Duty players, or whatever?" And be like, "No, that's not what I said." Like, Pippa has a really good thing on that, like, during her Class of '09 playthrough, where she was talking about, like, people will just assume the worst of what you say, or like when people say like, "I don't really," or "I like waffles," or "So you hate pancakes," or like vice versa. And it's just like, yeah, Twitter just kind of sucks. I only really like, I like reacting or like replying to people on there, and I like sometimes just making fun of people saying stupid shit, but very often like people will just assume the worst. But yeah.
If it's informative, good. If it's free benefits art, you'll get a disproportionate amount of interaction and then potentially never see them again. Many care much more about numbers and social standing than they admit. I mean, it's your career, so you will care about that. Your social standing and your reputation is everything as a content creator, and the numbers is the only thing brands, agencies, and everything else judges you on.
I feel like that is both true and not true. Like, obviously, yes, numbers matter at the end of the day. I think over obsessing over numbers and just being like, "Oh, the numbers," like making that your whole and complete and only worry. I'm hoping my mic's picking up on this. I know my stream's delayed on YouTube side, but I hope it's picking up. But I don't know. Like, I do feel as though like it's important to care about numbers, but you can't let that be your whole and only concern, because like at the end of the day, there are other things to worry about. And I think being a good person and just having a good character, not doing bad things to other people, I think that will help you stand out more, because like if brands see that, they'll think, "Oh, okay, like they're not gonna do this, that, and the third, or whatever. They're not gonna do whatever." Because like to give it like an immediate example, like for like brands caring about numbers and like social standing and stuff, like I'm trying to think of this, like how to phrase this out. Because like there was that whole thing with Parrot doing a Hoyoverse ad during his Niji Sanji video, and because he talked about like Taiwan and made jokes about China in it, Hoyo, like, even though he did the ad in full, Hoyo wasn't gonna pay him for it. And it's like, on one hand, like, yes, I agree, like it's good to like stand up for your content and your jokes and do what you want to do. But on the other hand, like if you're going to take a sponsorship like that, you have to understand the background of who you're working with and why they might not find something like that acceptable. But also, just completely leave Hoyo out of the blame. They can also vet who they're doing video, who they want to do sponsorships for, or who they want to work with before they do all this and have this person do an ad read only to not pay them. Like that's my opinion on that whole thing, but like I think that's what I immediately think of when it comes to it. Like I respect Parrot for not wanting to waver on his jokes and his content. That is respectable and admirable, but at the same time, like I feel like both like did like mild stuff, and I don't know. I feel like Hoyo's definitely more to blame, but like I don't know. It's just something that like you have to think about stuff like wholeheartedly. Like, I'm not getting sponsorships anytime soon. Like, that's just a given. Like, I'm a tiny ass channel. I probably only get like mobile game sponsorships at best. Definitely not something as big as a Hoyo sponsorship. And even if I did, like, I would have to understand that I can't do this, that, and the third for something like this. Like, I don't know. Like, you just have to like understand the medium of what you're doing a sponsorship for, I guess, while maintaining what your content is. And I think there is more leeway if it's a repeated sponsorship. Like, if you've done like the same sponsor multiple times or whatever, and they know you and they know your content and what you do, I think you can get away with a bit more. Because, like, to give like an example of like a bigger creator who does sponsor stuff a lot, like Jobby the Hong, like his videos are pretty, like, despite being a toy reviewer, like his videos are pretty like adult-ish and mature with jokes. Like, they like it's pretty not like kiddie friendly whatever stuff, which I appreciate. But like, he'll get sponsors and still like have like swears or like edgy-ish jokes for like repeated sponsorships because he's worked with them before and they know what his content is like, and like they know people will go for his sponsorship stuff and do his links because he's like done this partnership stuff before. I don't know. There's stuff like, numbers matter, and I think it's important to stand up for yourself and what you do, and but at the same time, like, you have to also be able to do proper optics, I suppose, and analyze the situation where it's like, what can I get away with, basically? Like, what jokes can I keep? What can I cut out? What would probably be fine? What won't? Like, and what would I be able to accomplish and still have it feel like a normal video? That's my 2 cents on it. I'm gonna stop yapping because I've been yapping a lot for this, but I don't know.
And the fact that you're not controversial. Many VTubers live in a constant anxiety of being judged, misinterpreted, or cancelled to the point where they start self-sabotaging by never posting their creation or interact, or quit altogether. That is true. Sometimes there's so many things that stay in draft because I'm scared of being misinterpreted or cancelled, and I can see this fear of getting cancelled very prevalent in the content creation sphere.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this outright. Like, on one hand, yes, it's important to be aware that people may misinterpret what you have to say or what you do. On the other hand, people can't cancel you if you don't let them. If you've done nothing wrong, and you know that you've done nothing wrong, and people are just mad at you, despite the fact that you did nothing wrong, do not apologize. Do not say sorry, because you did not do anything. Like, immediate thing that I'm thinking of is the Rosemi with the McDonald's VTuber asset, where she had to take down that post because people were getting pissed off at her. She didn't do anything wrong. She, at worst, she was a Niji talent, and that's the audience that they cultivated, like, through Niji EN for years, which she didn't even necessarily have, like, full control over. But at the end of the day, she did not do anything wrong, and she should not have taken the post down or said sorry. And it sucks that she had to, because Rosemi is probably one of the last good Niji talents. Like, there are a few that I like at Niji Sanji. I don't necessarily watch them because it's hard to watch talents for a company that you know is not great. But like, Scarla and Rosemi are like some of like the last good Niji talents. Same with like Vivi, like Victoria Brightshield, I think is her name. Like, she's also another one that I think, because like, she was a big fan of Pomu and Selene, and then she joined her company, and then those two are gone, and it's like, oh, that's sad. But like, those three are like the last bastions of Niji, I would say. And once Niji loses those three, that's gonna be rough. But yes, you should not apologize or say sorry if you've done nothing wrong. Like, it's like, you can't let people who actively hate you or will hate what you have to say dictate your career. Like, you can't do that. You should be able to stand up for what you believe in, if it's not anything criminal or hurtful to others. If you're doing something that you know is right, that isn't wrong, or you haven't done anything that is clearly wrong, you should not apologize or back down. And if people don't like that, they can fuck off, for lack of a better term. Like, that's my take on it, and you can agree or disagree, but.
But also for all kind of professions that are creative, artistic, even authors from books, writers, actors, all of that. All of that. I still enjoy VTubing as a medium, and a great many people I've met through it, and I still meet every day. I'm who I want to be and limit how much I interact with others to keep myself sane. But for the average new person, it's hard not to be overwhelmed when you come unprepared. So what do you guys think?
But yeah, now the video's over. Like, yeah, that was a very, like, a good, like, stream, for just a stream highlight. I think that was a good, like, snippet. So, like, I do agree with a lot of Rima's stuff. Like, I don't necessarily wholeheartedly agree, but I do think that a lot of what she said was accurate, and I don't know, it's a very interesting conversation to have. Like, if I got the actual chance to talk with Rima, like, over it's like a collab stuff or whatever about stuff, I feel like that'd be a lot of fun. She'd have a lot of stuff that's interesting to say. But we've been streaming for about an hour and 16 minutes, so I do want to test something else. I do want to check and see how stream can handle it. So I'm going to go to the waiting room real quick, and if it can handle doing this, we will choose something else instead of React stuff for the entire duration of stream. So I'll be right back, and I'm going to see if this works. So, be right back. Okay. Stream is not wholly dying, which is good. So, let's see if this works. So, game capture. And I think I have to be on this channel specifically. Oh, I don't have it open. There we go. If it doesn't lag, it isn't terribly laggy, we might do this. Because I really want to play this on stream. Because I played it a little bit off stream, or just on my own time. So, like, where's the audio? Audio it's full screen, so I have to be full screened. But we are gonna do this for stream, and we'll see how unlaggy it is. I can adjust settings too, so we can go from there. Oh. Yeah, let me close this tab real quick. And I'll close the media player too. Hopefully the audio's not too loud. If it is, so let me just, I'm gonna turn it down preemptively. Just because, just a little bit. Because I can't, have OBS open and look at this at the same time, which sucks, but, you know, we'll go from there. Turn the overall volume down just a smidge on here. Yeah. Let's do 125. Graphics. I'm actually gonna slow this down a bit to 30. CRT effects on. Yeah. So we might do this for stream. Okay. Hopefully it's not lagging too bad. If it is, sorry. But we'll see.
Yeah. Pale blood. Well, you've come to the right place. Yharnam is the home of blood ministration. You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yharnam blood of your own. And first, contract.
Alright. I'm praying OBS handling this well. Let me check real quick. Oh god, no. Oh dear, we are lagging like crazy. Hang on. Well, sort of. We are and we're not. I might adjust some of the settings as we get into the game. But we will see. If it's not terrible, I think it'll be okay. Because I've locked the game to 30 FPS, so we will double check and see. But we'll go from there. No, I can't do caps. Alright. No. Okay, I can tell stream's lagging. Yeah, 9 FPS. We're not... Okay. Alright, well, shoot. Damn it. Well, it's whatever. I want to see if we could pull through for just a little bit, but it seems not. Oh well. It's good to know for future experience. But I think I'm gonna call it here. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I appreciate. But yeah, I think we're gonna call stream here. So I will see you guys next time.